This is the Digital Savage Experience Podcast, hosted by Prokopchuk, bringing you all things digital marketing, tech, business, and motivation. What's stopping you from becoming relentless in all aspects of life? Are you ready to become a digital savage? Let's get into today's episode.
Hey everyone, this is Prokopchuk, and this is the Digital Savage Experience Podcast. Today I have with me Dominick Domasky. He's an inspirational author, YouTube host, sales expert, and the founder of inspiration sharing and publishing platform Motivation Champs. Thanks for joining me today.
Hey, I'm honored to be on. Thank you.
Awesome. Glad to have you on. So tell me a little bit about your journey. How did you get to the 2019 you?
Well, first off, to get to the 2019 me, it took a lot of punches to my face, a lot of failures, and a lot of getting knocked down. But seriously, about 20 years ago, I became 25 years ago, I started studying motivation. And then I got my first book. I didn't really know what that meant, but through every failure that I had, whether it was getting cut from the team or going broke in business, I lost $500,000 in the restaurant business, or getting fired from a job. Along the way, I started studying inspiration more and more and more. I read the greats, Norman Vincent Peale, Dale Carnegie, Og Mandino, and I studied these guys. And along the way, I started to use the principles that they were teaching. And then all of a sudden, I didn't only need to read it anymore. I was starting to live by those principles. And then what happened is all of a sudden, after years of shoveling ditches and picking up cigarette butts, I started thinking, hey, wait, I got something to say and I want to tell it a little different. So I might tell you about getting beat up or going broke, but that's how I became an author. I thought I had something to share. And then all of a sudden I realized that other people had stories to share too. And I wanted to help them share their story. And that's how we came to the 2019 Motivation Champ, Dominick Domasky.
That's awesome. So in terms of kind of being an author and writing your books, what are you kind of currently working on, and how did you decide to write your first book?
The reason I wrote the first book, and it's weird because I didn't grow up as an author or in a studious family or anything like that. I grew up working at my dad's landscape company, like I mentioned, shoveling dirt and picking up cigarette butts. But when I studied the inspiration, I just kept reading these books. So later when I had a restaurant and I went broke in the restaurant business. I was a young guy, about 25 at the time, lost $500,000. But I started living by these motivational principles, never giving up, not quitting, starting over, live each day with, love in your heart. And I started using these principles, and I realized, wait, I got something to say. So I started writing, and it took about 7 years for me to write my first book. That's how unskilled I was at it. So, and I just told a modern day story of inspiration. And that's how the first one came about. And then since then, people would ask, oh, you should write something else, or can you help me write a book? And that's how, so my latest book was how to write a book in 2020, because now you have a publishing company and things like that. So I've helped a lot of people write books. So I figured I'll put out a blueprint or a manual to help them. And that's what we did.
What do you think is kind of the most important thing for somebody that wants to become an author or write a book? One thing that they can do or something that they can overcome to become an author? To me, there's one thing. And if we disconnect or we never talk again or nobody hears one more thing I say, it is take action, take massive action. And you could say, well, it's too much money or it's this or this. You need to move forward little by little, inch by inch. If you do one thing today, Google how to be an author. Start writing some words down on a piece of paper, dictate in your phone, but you just have to take some act. And then if you do it over and over and over and over again, all of a sudden those words become sentences become chapters. And before you know it, you have a book and you're an author. Yeah, I think that's kind of the biggest
barrier to entry is taking action for anything, because you put things off in terms of business and personal life. I'll do it tomorrow, the next day, and the next day turns into a month and a year. And then you get maybe discouraged and not do kind of what you're passionate about.
Right. And even if you do, I'm not saying you have to climb Everest in a day, but you could start Googling what equipment you'd need, or take a walk so you're in better shape. You got to just move forward a little bit at a time.
Yep. I think anything you do in terms of a forward momentum, like you said, it doesn't have to be big, but taking actions to kind of level up and move a little bit forward and not stay stagnant is really important in everything in life.
And then a lot of people they get what you call paralysis by analysis, where they want to do something, but they believe that it has to be perfect, or everything they do has to be right. So they never take that first step. And the only thing, I may be good at one thing. It might be taking the first step, but rather than overanalyzing, if you just do that one thing, hey, now you got some momentum.
I agree. So what motivates you to succeed?
What motivates me to succeed? I am a believer that I have not reached my potential, and with anything. And I am one that I want to be better at everything I do every day, whether it be being in better shape, whether it be being a better writer, being a better communicator on this conversation we're having right now. One little by little, if I can make myself better every day at something, anything, and I do that over and over and over, all of a sudden, you don't have to be in a hurry, but I am motivated. I am probably insanely motivated by self-improvement.
I agree. I think it's important, because when you get to a place of being stagnant and complacent, it's truly a big killer in terms of imagination and innovation and change. So doing one thing to improve any aspect of your life, I think is truly important.
I'm 41, and I just never played an instrument in my life. And about at the beginning of the year, I don't know how long ago it was, I started taking piano lessons. And I don't come from a musical family or anything like that, but I take piano once a month, and then I practice. I told the lady, I can't come all the time, but I'm going to practice in between. Next time I see you, remember only 1 week passed when really a month has passed, but I just keep banging away on those keys, studying, working on it at home. And all of a sudden I hear some, a couple sounds coming out of there that aren't horrible.
Yeah, and I think trying new things, regardless of how scary they are or something you may have not done in the past, that opens up kind of different parts of your brain and enhances other aspects and skills you may have as well.
Right, it's wise.
So in terms of you personally, what's one thing that you thought was a flaw, or, you viewed as a weakness in the past that you've taken and made it a strength that you utilize today?
Okay. That's a good one. One of the things that I'm weak at it, but you got me twisted up here. I believe that like I said earlier, I believe that I am a believer that anything is possible. And I believe if you put your mind to it, you can achieve whatever you want. But there may be times where you don't have to do everything yourself. It may be better off to find an expert in something rather than trying to do it yourself. So that's a learning experience where a lot of times I'm like, forget it, I'll just do it myself. And that sometimes can be a detriment, because you waste time where you are better at something else. Maybe I could use my time more wisely and efficiently rather than trying to do something that I'm not good at. Like, we do a lot of ebooks, Motivation Champs ebooks, and sometimes one time we had a regular book, I tried myself to convert it to e-files for ebook. There's formatting, all that kind of stuff like that. It was a children's book. I'm telling you, I spent like 60 hours on it, and the pictures were off the pages, completely strange, everything like that. So I found myself some experts, and they were able to take care of it in a fraction of the time.
Yeah, I think that's important to do. I think in business and people starting off in terms of entrepreneurship or starting a new business, they kind of want to do everything themselves, either save money or just kind of not let go. And since it's they're kind of like their baby, they want to do everything and do it right. But like you said, a lot of the times you have a strength, focus on your strength. And if you can, find the experts that will do it right and do it cheaply and in a good amount of time.
Right. And sometimes when you're trying to do something you have no clue about, you don't know how naive you are at it. So here you are, I'm messing with some computer software. I don't know step one. And there's somebody else that went to 8 years of school and they can do in 5 minutes what I could do in, 6 months.
I agree. And I think with that, it's important to have self-awareness. So realizing what your strengths and weaknesses are. And if they are weaknesses, it's not anything to be ashamed about or, be down about. You can't know everything, and you have things that you utilize that are assets and strengths, and finding the right people or the right team around you to elevate the skills that you may be weaker at.
Right.
So what's one thing you can leave with the audience in terms of advice, either professional or personal?
I would say one thing I want to just, that I am such a believer in, is persist until you succeed. Persist until you succeed. So, and I'm not saying bang your head up against a wall, but I'm saying don't give up. There's always a reason to quit. You're going to find somebody. If you told somebody, hey, I'm quitting my job, I'm doing this, I'm giving up on my dreams, you could probably find somebody that would high five you and be like, that's pretty cool, when it's not cool just to quit. So what I would say is just keep your head down. And a guy told me one time he was having some problems, and his mother came to him and she said to him, she said, hey, just don't quit today. And meaning, if you can make it through one more day, all of a sudden you got it. Just don't give up.
No, I agree. And I think it's important. It's a long journey. So a lot of times, even in 2019, a lot of people want instant gratification, whereas their goals are business. And I think it's important that the journey is long, and the ones that become successful or becomes the companies that outlast the others are the ones that persisted and never quit.
Absolutely. You hear Gary Vee, I don't know if you know Gary Vee, he'll talk a lot about like enjoying the journey. Along the way, you gotta like the game. If you're just looking for this big payoff, a house in the hills, or you want to be flying around in a jet, well, you're missing the point. You gotta appreciate that journey.
Yeah, appreciate the journey. Yeah, I've actually, at his last book release, I met him at his book signing. He's a pretty cool guy, down to earth in person as well. So I do respect him in terms of building his business and how he was able to do that with, a lot of naysayers and still current naysayers about the stuff that he does, some of the passions and stuff he has. So I think it's important, regardless of what your idea is, as long as it's sound, you believe in it, and you can achieve it in terms of your skill set, regardless of what people are saying, you should still, undertake it and slowly but surely, like you said, it's a journey, reach those pinnacles. And if you have to, pivot at some point, because you may get to a point of your life where that may not be what you're interested in, but you can pivot into something else.
Right, wise.
So I really appreciate you stopping by today. Can you let the audience know how they can find you or some of the things you may have going on?
Roman, you are a gentleman and a scholar. I appreciate you having me on, so I would love to. The name of the forum is Motivation Champs. That's the publishing company. Everything we do is under Motivation Champs. So if you find us on YouTube, we have a show called Discovering Inspiration, where we go out and interview inspiring people doing amazing stuff. Me and my son do that. He's 13. He's my cameraman. So we go all over the country interviewing people. That's Discovering Inspiration. But if you would look on any form of social media, you look up Motivation Champs, we're on there. And what we do at our root is we share inspiration 24/7, and we help other people do the same. And that's Motivation Champs. And I'm appreciative of the opportunity today.
Awesome. Thanks again for stopping by.
This podcast has been brought to you by Nova Zora Digital. Find out how Nova Zora Digital can help your company grow online. Learn more at novazoradigital.com. Until next time, all you digital savages.